And Steve, if you'd open with a short prayer, I'd appreciate it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Dear Lord, I thank you for this day you brought us. Thank you for the opportunity to serve the citizens of Adams County, Lord. Pray, Lord, that you be with the family of Rex Moore. He's a good friend, good servant, good family man. We mourn his passing and know, Lord, that he is going to spend eternity in heaven with you. I ask you, Lord, to be with us this day as we deliberate the business. Help us to keep in mind, Lord, the best interest of the residents of Adams County and just do the very best we can in these roles you've allowed us to serve in. I ask all these things, Lord, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Steve. All right, we will take a look at the minutes and then a slight agenda change, update. So have you had a chance to look at the minutes from December 3rd, 2024?
I have. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you, gentlemen. Good job, Cindy. All right, so now if Judge Conrad would like to come up and if you would like to present, are you coming up too, Ian? Or
Yep. I guess.
you have to bring your own chair,
Sure.
Hey, so,
unless you want
Literally.
to. Right, we got enough to play you for now.
so,
If you want to introduce yourselves and just kind of briefly explain your.
sure. So, like I know everybody knows Rob Parker, Rob's Project Connect down in Well Current Indicators. And then this is Sheriff Baylor. So we were here a couple months ago with regards to the jail reentry program. Part of it revolved around a state initiative called IRAX, which is an entity that facilitates jail reentry program. Now, jail reentry in general doesn't have to require an IRAX program, right? That's the organization. The concept of jail reentry is done in several other jails throughout the state through different organizations, okay? And so since that time, the IRAX program that's run through the state, we do not currently qualify to participate in that program because of a decision that was made in Indianapolis with regards to being a certified RCO, Recovery Community Organization. And so because that we are not a certified RCO at the current time, we don't qualify to participate in the IRAX program. What does participating in the IRAX program come with? About $350,000 of grant funds through the state, okay? And so in the interim, there have been discussions. Rob's been doing most of the heavy lifting, talking with various stakeholders, keeping all of us informed here, Ian, and Community Corrections, the sheriff, myself, and keeping us up to date about whether or not we could still have a jail reentry program, which all four of us agree would be vital and a big support for individuals that are serving time in jail so that they're prepared when they come out.
So when you say reentry, it's reentry into
the community,
the general population.
right? Because that's the one kind of thing that we all deal with is you have individuals who, for whatever reason, find themselves in jail. Well, they're going to come back out to our community at some point. And so the idea being, are they prepared in the sense of just the basics of how we navigate society? Do you have a driver's license? Do you have a place to work? Do you have a home? Do you have transportation? Do you have mental health care? All of those type of resources that you all know our community offers. Are they set up to succeed when they walk out of the Adams County Detention Center or not? And so jail reentry is interacting with those individuals early on in their time in jail to make sure that when they come out, they are they have the best foot forward, if you will. So really the reason that we're here today is because we last asked for the opioid settlement money to go, and we have mentioned a lot, the IRAX program, right? That possibility is there's a big question mark beside it. Really the state funding isn't there currently. But because of all the contacts Rob has made in our community with business leaders, various individuals, we believe that we can still get that jail reentry program run through Rob's organization called Project Connect. Get that started in our program with support from various local. And so that's what we wanted to be, just for clarity's sake, so that you all understood. That's where we sit with regards to IRACs, that we wouldn't be utilizing that grant as a result of the state deciding that we to not certify our RCO. And what that means is we still wanted the commissioner's blessing to use that opioid settlement money to do a jail reentry. It's the same purpose. But just to be clear that the IRACs program, that grant has gone away. And that's then being replaced by various local individuals who have pledged their support to Rob and Sheriff and their program.
And the amount of that money that we had dedicated to that program was $150,000. And so that will be transferred to your organization to support.
That's what we want to make sure you're okay with, and that's our recommendation, so the jail reentry program still move forward. And then Rob has secured other matching funds and funding at least to get through us the first year, and then that will give us time, if we can straighten things out with the state, then IRACs could be a part of this, but we're not guaranteeing it's going to be a part of it, because we have gone to other facilities around the state that are doing the exact same thing, but it's just not an IRACs program.
Part of the thing, and part of the advantage that I saw through the IRACs program was they would begin to work with someone who was jailed from the time they first came into the jail. So I don't know if your program encompasses any of that along with once they're re-entered the community.
It includes the beginning navigation piece, so meeting people as they're coming into the system, trying to figure out, what's their backstory, what's likely going to happen in their future, what are the moving pieces in their life, and then it's programming inside of the jail, and then navigation and reentry services, so building community partnerships, job partnerships, educational partnerships, mental health partnerships, and being able to connect pieces between the system and the people that need the help.
So very, very similar.
Very similar, and I'd add a caveat that I built a system like this kind of similar in my 10 years at Gateway Woods. It was and more kids aging out of the foster care system, but I used a lot of the successful work that we've already used for another organization, and I've put that in play. It works, like the system works, and it just so happens to overlap with the Hancock County that we visited, Jay County Drug Coalition, and their IRACs programs. What we're doing and what they're doing is pretty similar. It takes into account our own culture here in Adams County.
Do you also have a board that you work with?
I do. And we'll also have a steering committee that is specifically focused on this portion. So, and then we'll also work in tandem with JRACs and with our judicial partnerships to make sure that we're on the same page.
Ultimately, that's your steering
Yeah.
committee, because
Yeah.
if the sheriff doesn't want it in there,
It
if it isn't
stops.
working,
Yeah.
if it's not doing what it's supposed to be doing, sheriff's gonna pull the plug.
So I feel like we have a high level of accountability and checks and balances.
And a couple of things that we've learned since, well, first of all, with the IRACs program, we learned after coming before you that down the road, they were going to expect us to pony up more and more money each year. So this could be a blessing in disguise that we're maybe not getting this money, because now we know right now we are going to fund this, at least for now the way it is, and not have to worry about how we're going to do it later when the IRACs money goes away. I've had some people ask, why do you need this in the jail? And this is my comparison. If mom falls and breaks her hip and ends up at a rehab facility, a nursing home, okay, and wants to go home after she recovers, there's someone in that facility that's making sure that there's a ramp to her door, that she's got handles in the shower to be able to get out, to make sure that she's safe when she goes home from the rehab facility. And I think this is a comparison to that, right? So there's going to be someone in the jail that's going to make sure that these inmates have a safe path, the safest path possible on their reentry into the community. And so that's kind of my comparison, how I've explained it to people.
I think it's from my perspective, I've had personal experience with a friend of the family, a young friend of the family that exited not Adams County Jail, but the system, and had no plan for how to survive after spending a year in a state institution. No plan where to live, no job, no money, no car, no anything that they needed. And had they not had, and no family to support them. So fortunately, there were some folks that were willing to help. If that had not been the case, this individual would have been right back into the system again because it just didn't have a chance.
And I think what makes this program a slam dunk is that we have Rob Parker. If Ian Gilbert was going into the jail and doing this program, I wouldn't get the results because I wouldn't have the trust of the inmates that I'm working with. Whereas Rob, the trust is there. He's lived the life. He's been there. He's been down that path, and he can show the right way. And so I think that it's just going to be very successful.
And again, it's pre-trial, it's initial arrest. They're going to see them. And then maybe they bond out, but more than likely they're going to see them before they bond out. If they've been in for 2-3 days, they're going to have contact with that person already. So it's not just post-conviction. There's a chance if this goes well, then under judge's authority, they can bring people back who are been sentenced to DOC and say, you're going to do your last 6 months at the local jail just so they can get into this program. So when they get out, they have the connections, they have the tools, they have the resources built up. They can build a relationship with Rob and his people, knowing that if they have an issue, they got something to go to. And these guys also stay in contact, forgive me if I'm misspeak, but a minimum 6 months or longer once they get out. They still stay in navigation. They will work with the staff that I already have, with our mental health, our suicide prevention, all the mental health that we are having in the jail. It's kind of what we're waiting for is this, if this gets approved, then we'll have our meetings inside the jail so we're not stepping on each other's feet. We're being efficient with our services so we're not having redundant services. So it's a well thought out plan.
Well, and I think it's real interesting to see this group that's sitting here because we've got, obviously your end of the stick is enforcement and incarceration, and that's your responsibility. You know, with Judge Conrad, your justice system, you know, defines, you know, the rest of the sentencing, but the third leg of that stool has always been rehabilitation. And I think we've got a very good representation both in community corrections with your programs and now with this navigation program. It brings something that's a little bit more preemptive instead of just wait until they walk out the door and it's like, okay, what are we going to do now? It's preemptive enough to help set them up for success, a successful rehabilitation. So I think it's just a real neat group to have in front of us, and I appreciate that.
So, and I don't know, does this need a new motion? Because we're not changing this thing. We just wanted to clarify that we might not be IRACs, but we believe our motion in the past was for that money, opiate money, settlement money to be used for a jail reentry. That has not changed.
Running through Project Connect, which is the same that we're at.
Yeah,
If you want to make a motion.
It probably would.
that's fine. If you think it's cleaner that
I'll
way.
make a motion to clean that up and identify the fact that the IRACS program is no longer a part of this solution, but that the opioid settlement money that we would commit to the Project Connect
Jail reentry.
to provide a jail reentry program. I'll make that motion.
Good. Second. All right, I vote in favor of that also then.
Thanks for your work, guys.
Thanks. I don't see you before the end of the year. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. See you around. All right.
Merry Christmas.
Why these guys are getting away, so now we have the proof.
Good.
I'm not used to going that way.
We still love you, John.
That's okay. Treasurer, you'll bring that up.
Yeah, all of
Did you guys see anything on the claims?
You can reach you today. I won't be.
No, I didn't see anything. I noted.
Thank you, gentlemen. Yeah,
Thank you.
Take
Thanks,
care.
Rob. Thanks for your help.
Okay. All right. Yep.
Okay, the first item I have is the Allied Weekly Health Insurance claims. Those are in the amount of $21,354.95. I verified it, and we have, the previous week, we had a credit. So they credited that to this one. It was originally going to be 52,000 and something, but that credit the previous week brought it down to 21,354.95. Medical is 17,815.25. Prescription is 34,543.66.
Very good. Any questions on that? Got the motion to approve that claim as presented.
So move. Second.
Okay, motion carries.
You all should have received, I scanned and sent you the monthly clerk's report. Clerk Shelley Bright, I want to enter that into the record.
Make a motion to accept that report.
Okay, motion carries. To enter the clerk's report in the record.
And now we have the 2024 health fair, which goes to the hospital in the amount of $9,737.
What's that for, Tony, for that?
For the health fair that we had,
For the health, pay for the health, but kind of personnel, okay.
yes.
Annual thing.
Do we look healthier?
Fairly.
Make a motion to approve that claim.
All right, motion carries. Shannon, thank you for setting that up, and I think that's a benefit to our employees.
I absolutely agree, and like I told you guys before, I got a lot of positive feedback on the income testing. So I'm grateful that y'all agreed to that, and I hope it's something that we can continue to do year over year.
Was most of that $9,000 for the snacks?
Yeah, I mean, yes.
Okay. We also have the accounts payable claims in the amount of $692,304.01.
All right, have you had a chance to take a look at those claims?
I have. I didn't see anything that I had a question about.
Okay. Steve, any questions?
Make a motion to accept.
All right.
Second.
Okay, motion carries to approve the claims of $692,304.01.
Want to pass that down? Trying to, were you all included on the emails from Shelley regarding the scanning project, the construction and all that?
I don't think I saw that.
A little bit on that scanning project. The initial award was $500,000. I have one contract for $215,000 already in and obligated.
And that is to the vendor that is going to
The scanning.
do the back scanning and the indexing, and they're going to take the records off-site and do all that work.
Yes.
Okay.
And Shelley has been under the weather, so I and Jamie were kind of emailing all this stuff back and forth. I'm not sure, Clayton, I don't know if you were copied on all that or not. I think Julie Marie was, but I don't know. She basically wanted the commissioners to know, and I don't know, Clayton can help me if we actually need an approval or take action on this, but she's got information here that you all can look at today, or I can send to you or whatever, added to the $215,000 that was already entered. there's going to be an additional cost, and I think she said why, but there's going to be another 206,000 on top of that. Some kind of measurement on the books was wrong, or I don't even remember. There's another $6,005 for the movers that are going to move the books. And she also is getting a construction proposal and contract together, and the estimated amount on that is $150,000. This will obviously take it above and beyond the $500,000, but Shelley has her clerk's PERP fund, and these companies are willing for her to pay the difference, which I think is around $81,000. Her clerk's PERP fund can pay that part of it, so it won't involve ARPA. It'll be her PERP fund, which can only be used for that stuff. And I think they're going to span that out over 5 years for it to come out of her clerk's PERP fund. So basically, she's got information, contracts, and everything. I'll get in here and forward it to you as we're sitting here so you can look at it. And she's got other quotes, I think, from, different things involving the construction where they came and measured. And
I think my only concern is that huge increase in the scanning project. That's like
yeah, and I
double what we committed, what we agreed to.
Yeah, I'm going to find that.
I'm going to need to understand that a lot better, I think.
And she actually, if she gave me her phone number, if you all wanted to call her regarding that. I'm going to see if I can find the email where she explained that.
Yeah, that proposal just says, for scanning of additional documents retrieved that were not part of the original quote.
Did she send that to us, Stan?
It's Tony and her together sent it.
Okay.
That's
I
actually,
thought that I sent it. I might.
Maybe I missed it.
that's the 206, 457.
What day did she send that, Stan? What's the 150 for? Tell me that 150.
Construction costs to construct a storage, environmentally friendly storage for the books and records.
Okay.
It is the only thing I received was that email, and it is an additional cost of $206,000. From the verbiage of her email to me, it seemed like it's just saying there were documents they didn't look at or take into consideration.
Something along that line.
Well, I guess initially the 215 sounded pretty low from the estimates that we had looked at previously. So I guess in one way it doesn't surprise me, but I sure wouldn't want to be the estimator on that.
I think her concern was to get all this obligated before the end of the year.
So I wonder if there were documents that she didn't tell them about, documents she told them about. Yes.
I have that.
What was the amount we signed the contract for, right? We already,
215, I think.
215,000 is already in there.
so I don't,
And I think I don't know that it was her that sent. See if this is it.
I don't have any.
I'm scrounging here trying to find something, but
Was you gonna send us that, Tony?
Yeah, I'm looking for it.
I'm gonna go ahead and call her if that's okay.
You want to see the enhancement? Is that what you guys
Yeah,
want to see?
remember?
is that what they called it, an enhancement? That's a pretty big enhancement when you double the contract price.
Yeah, I just found it in my email, so I forwarded it to all three of you.
Oh, you found it?
Yeah.
Hi, Shelley. Hey, this is Stan. So, hey, are you available for a conference with the other commissioners and myself? Yeah. Okay, is that okay if I put you on speaker? Okay, all right, hang on. Okay, I got you on speaker. Our only question was the enhancement from the original quote on the scanning project. The original quote was around 215,000. The enhancement was more like 206,000. So that's what we would like to be educated on a little bit.
So, when they did their measuring the first time to give an estimate, they did not do the entire records that we thought. I wasn't overseeing the project, I had assigned it to Jamie, my chief deputy, but they came back a few times. Remember when we had them first time, that they did a few, and we redid things because we weren't going to do burn records. So then they came back. So there was things that got missed the first time they did their estimate. So when they came to pick up the scanning, they found out that there are more records like in our other rooms that definitely need to have scanned. They're like juvenile records that need to be preserved and stuff like that. So that's why when they did a reassess, they found out it was going to cost a lot more than what they first stated.
Okay,
So what they had first time was only the 215,000 was basically, I think, what was all located in the dungeon, and not the additional scanning that we needed done.
Okay,
So that's why they increased that price. And plus, I think the trifolds, there are a few of them that are a little more costly, I believe, to scan on those.
so with the additional, that was always intended to be included in the scanning. It just was missed because of a misunderstanding?
Correct.
Okay. So,
Shelley, if I remember correctly, we had other quotes on this project. Would the other quotes have included those documents? So we weren't comparing apples to apples, or what do you think on the other proposals?
Right. And so they did, I don't know if, to be honest with you, Steve, I'm not sure, to go back, because I wasn't physically there seeing them making those measurements. So this was something that when we had them come back to remeasure and they did the requote, granted, we went with a company that we thought wasn't going to nickel and dime us type thing. And would have everything laid out, especially with the software, which we thought was a better deal too, because we're going to be using their software. They have all the records, which is very accessible. They're very been responsive so far of getting all, because they do have our records. If we have a record that we need, they have been pulling it up and getting it to us really quickly. So I'm really impressed with that so far.
so even with the difference in the added 206,000, you're still comfortable with the work and the quote that you're going to be getting?
Yes. So how I broke it down was, as you know, with the application, I know I emailed you, Stan, and Tony with regard to how this was going to play out with the ARPA funds. And that was the moving costs we had chosen. Thought was a pretty good idea. I thought that amount was pretty decent. And actually, I went with Jamie's gut too, because she actually met with them and went to Berg and felt like this would be a good company to use. And then, of course, when with Desert for Construction, as you know, we need these contracts done before the end of this year. We had Miguel and his construction, and he actually got with other two vendors to make sure that we can secure the rooms that are needed for that construction cost. So I was pleased with that as well. I looked at that briefly, and I'm sure, I don't know if you had an opportunity to look at those contracts, but with all that is included to do the renovation and fire suppression and all of that is needed for records being moved. So with that, with all that involved, that brings up, I think, $150,000 for the construction, about $6,000 for moving expense. So that could be also included in the $500,000 allocated. So I wanted to do a separate, with the additional enhanced scanning, that way whatever was left, and I thought this is like give and take because we don't know for, when we start these projects, how much it's going to really end up costing. We can't go over $500,000, but if we use the additional, I think I was thinking $125,000. Tony, is that something
I think you said, I think you said that out of the clerk's perk fund over the next 5 years, it would be like 81,000.
Right, after I did my deduction. So basically the scanning project would probably be what, 300,000 included in that. So it's basically going into that fund. So when I did that subtraction, I can use for the clerk perk the remaining balance for that amount to be paid over 5 years out of the clerk perk fund. So, because I do have that as it's a self-funded fund to kind of use that for that remaining balance. Does that make sense? I hope it does.
So basically, with all of the contracts that I have in front of me, that will obligate the entire 500,000. The 81,000 over a span of time, you may have to go before council just to appropriate the money out of the clerk's perk fund.
Well, if
But,
I budget it, Tony, it will be fine. 'Cause
oh, okay.
actually, there is a scanning budget line item for the clerk
Yeah.
perk fund
That would
that I
work.
could budget for that, especially after our first free year of software with that company. Then the second year is half off. Then when we start our third year, then that third year we have to be balanced for budgeting for covering the software cost. We have the software for 5 years, hoping that we will have something in place with IT and a vendor that we could use, like as I said, Doc Record, if there are capabilities to do so, that we can hold these records in that instead.
So I guess my question to Clayton would be, this was an ARPA award for 500,000 already, but she is bringing quotes to fulfill that 500,000. Do these guys need to take action to approve these quotes, or is that already covered under the original ARPA? I mean, I guess it wouldn't hurt if you take action. Wouldn't hurt anything.
Well, we have approved the money, but the contract we approved was different.
So you may have to take action to approve this enhancement and the other things.
I guess, and I hate to throw all of this back into the wind, but my concern is, when we bid that project out, that scanning project out, and we selected this vendor based upon their fulfillment of the project as it was described in the RFP and the price that they quoted us. Now they're coming back basically and doubling that price. My gut tells me that could throw us back into rebidding this whole project. That feels, I mean, that's not just a contract adjustment. That's a huge change in that contract. I'm not very comfortable in just saying, yeah, go ahead, even though the money's there to pay for it.
Well, then, Steve, they have to bring all those records back.
You know, that's
I don't
not
know
that,
how separated they have.
I get that, Shelley, but
They would have to bring them all back.
It's,
it's not my mistake. It wasn't my mistake. It was their mistake.
Correct, it was their mistake.
and it's gonna be hairy regardless because.
I don't
also-
think
you
we met the
also-
public bidding statute.
Well, not now, well, we're getting close to it now, but also we do have a signed contract with them though for the original 215.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have a fight with them. They're gonna want to at least do that work.
And we also have to worry about obligating, which I don't know. It's possible with what was done earlier with IT and construction being approved to use whatever unused revenues there are. That potentially could fit under that category where you could put Miguel's contract and so forth into that.
They accept this additional contract.
Yes, everything
and then
except for
fight
that.
this out later.
Yes.
Shelley, can you help me understand? Do you feel like their miss in underestimating this work, were we partially responsible for that? Did we not identify all of the records that had to be scanned? Or did they just not count correctly? Or whose fault do you think this is?
Well, it's hard to say, and unfortunately, during the election period, when they came back, I assigned this again. I'm not, I gave it to my chief deputy, and she was even when they came in to pick up all the files, they said this is more than what we thought we were supposed to receive. So I don't know where the communication dropped.
When they put their initial proposal together, were these records all included in that? What would have been
I
the,
don't think they were in that proposal.
okay, so do you feel like all of the vendors that proposed on this project would have had the same undisclosed information?
Without being up with it on hand, I'm not positive.
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm just asking for it, based upon the way the proposals were put together when we were bidding this out, do you feel like all of them had the same information to bid on?
Yes, and the thing of it is, though, Steve, we went with our gut, and I hate to say it, but we did. We went with our gut with the three vendors who would be the best to get this done. We felt like the other two just wasn't quite up to the task that we thought that would feel comfortable for even our own county. So that's why we went with the company that actually was brought, we didn't even seek this company out. Actually, Mike Brown sought them out and vetted them very thoroughly of all the things that we would need. So we felt confident to pick this vendor above the other two because of the stuff that they had provided in their first proposal when they were going to do everything.
Right.
When we included burn and everything like that. So that was way back when, last year, when we thought they were pretty much very well vetted from an IT standpoint, and we felt very comfortable choosing them. And then when we went back to review, when we changed everything, when they came back, did the numbers, and we thought, you know what, this company seems like that they know what they're doing, and we felt like, okay, that's what we're going to do. Unfortunately, I wasn't there for the second review to see that, making sure that they were going to pick up all documents. Now, all documents have to be scanned, Steve. So it's here or there. With having somebody else come in and take the remaining one, I don't know. I think that will cause a lot of confusion, a lot of
Yeah,
mess.
we don't want two
Because
vendors on this
everything's boxed
project.
up already and already at that first vendor. So I don't know.
Yeah, we definitely don't want two vendors on this
If you don't want to
project.
use the ARPA funds, then we had forwarded to Tony, we would use it as a third fund and allocate and pay for it. It's just one of those things that it's already there. I mean, it is what it is. I hate to say that. We were kind of surprised by the measurements And that probably would have been with anybody. They could gave you an estimate until they actually do the breakdown and counting, until they actually see, oh, wait a minute, this is actually what it's going to cost you.
Shelley, can you do this for us? Go back and review the proposals and review if they gave you quantities as far as numbers of pages, number of trifolds, transportation, any of that stuff, and just kind of review the parameters that were in each of the proposals so that we feel like even though with this additional $206,000, we still are comfortable with the pricing of this company. And because obviously we're comfortable between yourself and the IT department as far as the way the company does business and handles these documents. So that's probably not as much of an issue as just feeling like we've still got a fair comparison for the same amount of documents from all three companies. So that way we can make sure that we did not go awry with a faulty bid. So,
And I think this would have to be done on the 17th
I agree.
because there's not another meeting.
so if you can come back with a request or with not a request, but a
Report.
I don't know when I would be able to get to this, to be honest with you. My laptop's not working right now. I'm recovering. So this is going to be kind of difficult to try to do in this short span of time.
maybe
Guys, take a look at that for us.
To try to get this done. I feel.
What the RFP looked like, what their response was, and now what has changed.
well,
Regardless, it's,
I mean, you could actually,
Nate
if
was,
if
I was
ask the vendor
discussing it
to
with Nate.
appear, if you want to have them in front of a meeting and explain everything to you.
well, and it's
that's the only
not,
thing I could
it's
suggest, because I am
cardinal
not to go
change
back
to the
to two other
agreement.
vendors that we.
It's an
Sorry,
increase in price
not
over
you.
20% of the total
so
contract
I-
price. It's
And they're not going to
100%
have, actually,
increase.
one of the vendors didn't even use anything to measure. So it makes it difficult to try to estimate everything with these companies. You know what I'm saying? It's just,
Yeah, Shelley, I think our problem's going to be, we signed a contract.
yeah.
We need probably the attorneys to look at this and see if we even have the option of agreeing to increase this contracted amount without rebidding it. I don't even know that that's an option.
And it could be that you just approve everything except the 206,000 enhancement. And if Shelley wants to pay for that out of the clerk perk fund, she would have to present it that way, because I think even without that 206, we're getting close to the 500,000 anyway.
No, I think, no. Well, the cardinal change affects the bidding procedures. And with it being a cardinal change, there may very well be a requirement that we have to rebid this project.
Yeah, whoever the other bidders were, and I don't remember who they were, they may come back and say, and sue us.
Correct, because that's exactly what a cardinal change is meant
Yeah,
to protect.
they would come back and sue us for breach of the bidding statute. I think we're vulnerable there for some kind of liability to the vendors that were not approved based upon their proposal.
But we went by the best vendor. I don't know how the other two vendors would do that.
Understandably, Shelley, but then you have to think about that. I get that at the time that we bid it, it's the best vendor we thought. But if this type of business practice was allowed to stand, then every single contractor ever would do this. They would lowball bid their initial contract, and then once you sign the contract, shoot a change order over to you for an additional $200,000, $300,000, putting them way above and beyond whatever we never would have accepted it, perhaps, if we would have seen the total number.
The other vendors can come back and say, hey, we have a right to change our bid.
do we have proposals from the other two bidders?
I'd have to ask Jamie. I
Well,
think we do.
well, why don't we, if you're not available, put Jamie in touch with, either Mark or Clayton could probably help put some sense into this. And if those two could get together and come back with a recommendation for us next week that we could take action on, because it's definitely more than just a slight addition. So I think we need to sort this out from a contract standpoint.
Okay.
So, and probably the sooner the better, I don't know, just if she can set up an appointment with Clayton at their earliest convenience.
Yeah, but can I, is the construction and the moving, will that go? Will that be possible, or does it need anything else additionally with those two things?
Well, I think the construction probably won't change, because that, are we okay with the construction contract while we take a look at this, or do we need to put everything on hold?
I'm thinking probably just the scanning.
Yeah, just the scanning needs to be put on hold, so everything else can be approved
The
and
movers.
obligated. The movers and the construction.
Movers on the construction, yeah.
Okay, did you get that?
What's that? No, I didn't, I'm sorry.
We're okay with the movers and the construction, just not the scan.
That's good, because I was running around trying to get those other two things to get down
Yeah.
for the contracts before the end of the year.
But yeah, see if Jamie would do that at her earliest convenience with her and Clayton. To come back with a recommendation for us next week, because that'll be our,
Oh, I'm sorry, Stan.
that'll be our last meeting for the year, last scheduled meeting.
Clayton, would it be possible if we could get the vendor to come up to explain their
I mean,
additional?
yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day,
That's
Shelley,
the problem with having, halfway, secondhand, that kind of stuff. So,
yeah, and I mean, I'm not even necessarily worried about it, and I'm not necessarily worried or think that they need to provide us with an explanation behind the number change. It's sadly, I think, based on, and I need to go back and look at this research again, but the number change itself is just sadly what it is, regardless of the basis for that. So I would ask Jamie if you can, because I know we had sent proposed revisions back to them at least once. If she can send me a copy of the fully executed contract you guys signed with that, so I can look at it as soon as possible. And then I'm gonna have to sit down and talk with Mark about what our possibilities here are. Because obviously if we have to rebid this project, that is going to be tough to do before the end of the year.
Okay.
I guess if you wanted to take action on the construction, we have
All
that
right.
contract here.
Well, yeah, go ahead and either yourself and Jamie or Jamie get together, and as Clayton confers with you two and Mark also, and see if we can get done what we need to get done, so. All right?
All right, well, thank you, gentlemen.
All right.
Thanks, Shelley.
Yep, thanks for taking our call.
Thank you.
All right. Bye.
You have the, can you run through those figures again?
What?
The figures that you gave the
Construction is $150,000. The movers are $6,005.02. Electric work, materials and labor for B Secure Alarm Systems, $9,736.22. 973622. And it looks like Jamie is the one that's gonna sign this with the movers. It has their name on it.
What's her last name?
Winter,
Witter, W-E-T.
W-E-T-T-E-R,
She's the deputy.
Chief Deputy.
Okay, so do we want to take these other contracts separately? I've got one for, fire and security.
And that's in the storage unit.
That is in.
That's here in the
That's
building.
in, that's in the,
Yeah.
that's in the long-term storage that
Yeah.
we're building out.
Yes.
I'll make a motion to accept that.
What's that for, Stan?
Fire suppression and security, I think. That's from Corson.
Miguel worked all that up. Right.
Actually, this encompasses, the fire suppression and also the rest of the construction.
Does Miguel's quote include all that stuff?
Yeah.
150,000.
Yep.
Yeah, it sure does. There's what we're looking at right there. There's the fire suppression system from Corson.
Yeah.
And it's just.
That was in their initial
That's-
ARPA
that's-
request,
yeah, I knew
right?
that was. I was just. So the nice bill. 206,000. That's.
It's the bill from Miguel is 150 grand.
It's 112.
You can't just put a sprinkler system. This would be a dry outer sprinkler paper documents.
Did she bid that?
Okay.
Yeah. That's what.
And the movers.
1 second. 1 second before you guys vote. Did she bid, the construction portion of it is 150?
148, 149, 291. So do we need to bid that also?
That's what we
The
just.
biggest piece of that is
No.
fire suppression.
149 quotes.
The big 112,000 of that is fire suppression from Corson.
Yeah.
Fine. Quotes are fine.
Okay.
But she should. Yes.
Make a motion to approve that, the quote from MAS Construction, I think it was.
I think Stan has that for him to sign.
Yes. Let me
Yeah,
confirm
let
that.
me-
There, you get it.
The movers.
Yeah, MAS Quality Construction
Yeah, do
LLC.
that. I would make a separate motion for the movers because it's
Yeah, separate contract.
separate
Did you get a
contract.
copy of that, Steve?
I did. Are we,
Okay,
oh,
so the first motion was for MAS.
149, 291, 22.
But I think I'm the only one that has to sign that.
Yeah, according to the way that looks.
Okay.
And these that you're approving now, I can go ahead and put the contract in Gateway, and that much of it will be obligated.
Yeah.
And then we got Hoover the Mover.
Hoover the Mover was
Hoover the Mover.
$6,005.02.
I'll make a motion to accept the quote from Hoover the Mover to move the documents into this facility, into this building from their outlying locations.
See on the signature line,
Get a copy. I think I did see that.
the two names are Drew Dillman and Jamie Wetter, so I don't know if we need an additional signature.
I think that guy with the moving company was working with Jamie over there to get the job done. I don't suppose it would hurt for you to sign your name underneath though, as a commissioner.
Yeah.
Just make a line and
Did
sign
we
it
have a
underneath.
separate? Yeah, we approved Hoover the Mover, didn't we?
And I think we only have one more while we're waiting on the attorneys and so forth to look at the other. And that'd be Secure Alarms.
What's that for again? I've looked at it. I
That
looked at it.
That is long-term storage as far as power outlets, data outlets,
Okay.
LED lights, this, that, and the other thing.
Was that not a part of the MAS quote?
No, I think this is separate, I believe. I think. Look.
Yeah, I think that's included in the MAS quote.
Is it included?
$9,736.22.
Okay, good, good.
Yeah, that's a part of the $149,291.22 we've already approved.
Good then. Okay, very good.
All right, very good. So those are the only peripheral contracts we need for the scanning project, and then we'll wait to hear back on,
Clayton, I'm sure we're just gonna have to understand what their contract, what the wording in their contract, if it was by the document, by the piece, by the inch, estimate, actual numbers to be finalized once the documents are received, or, you know, whoever that, I don't know how that looks, but
Well-
that big a change, I know
Well, I mean, sadly, thinking from a logistics standpoint, just sitting here because one, the arguing with them will be a pain, but it won't be hard. I agree. You know, even with what Nate kind of pointed me to a good case precedent that I'd probably rely upon that's normally used in construction contracts, but services contract. I mean, that cardinal
yeah,
change.
bad estimate, just,
Well,
you eat it.
it's a material change, yeah, it's a material change in the contract, so if you're gonna try to enforce it, then the contract's void. While it would be a pain, obviously, to, within this month, rebid it, accept the bid, and get a new contract signed, from a logistics standpoint, what will probably have to happen if we want, we're sadly not gonna be able to obligate probably all of our ARPA funds by doing this, we'll have to let them do the amount that they contracted for at the 215,
Right.
and then we'll have to rebid the remaining scanning. So maybe the answer is have them stay obligated for the 215 and then already start the process, and maybe we can get that done this month, rebid the remaining amount, send it out for sealed bids, get those responded to, and then choose, and it very well could be a different contractor that gets obligated to the remainder of the ARPA funds if this contractor we're using doesn't do it. And Shelley's not gonna like that because I'm sure they have different programs, but
Yeah.
Fair to the other two firms that bid though, because if they bid on the
I'm with
entire-
you.
if they bid
I
on
don't
the
think it's
entire
fair.
amount,
yeah, that's
That's
right. And I'm not saying that's my answer, but I was just saying.
Now, if we could
off the top of my
determine
head.
that they all bid on the same amount of documents, then to me, that's kind of a different story. But
You
if,
have to-
if the other vendors bid on the full package of documents, and this vendor for some reason only bid on a portion of them, then
That's something
then
too.
that's a bad, that's.
I'm gonna have to tell Jamie, and I just asked Tony for him to look. I need to look at, because normally I don't look at all of your guys' bids. I obviously need to look at this one.
Yeah, I think we need a legal opinion on that.
I'm thinking this all went, Mike was involved on which scanner was gonna work. and all
Yeah,
that
we
stuff.
we talked a lot about the quality and the integration and whether we were gonna get a product that we could
I don't
use
even-
and
yeah,
potential
what's-
integration with Doc Record, and there was a
Yeah.
whole discussion about that.
I'm gonna have to go back and search the minutes. 'cause
there
that
was a
while
whole
back.
discussion beyond price.
It was a lot beyond price, but if this vendor had come forward with a price that was twice what the proposal was, that discussion might have changed.
And that's why I asked her what the other, if she had the other proposals.
Right.
And that seems to be kind of elusive.
Yeah, it's, I hate to rush into it just because we have.
I'm not sure if the bids ever came here. I don't know. I think it was just the discussion they had with the change management, and that's what they, I'm thinking.
I just talked to that guy, I can't remember.
I can't remember either. I'll have to go back.
They're out of control.
Well, we'll have to figure it
Yeah.
out.
Figure out what month,
And,
what
and
year.
And if it comes back before you guys next week, and if I'm not available, you guys, your best judgment is good with me.
Where's it located?
I could go either way. I just don't want to get sideways with, we got the statute and make us vulnerable to the losing vendor suing us.
Right.
And I think that's where the legal guys have got to come, have got to help us out there.
I'll get that for you. I'll put the thing after the meeting.
All right.
Yeah, so I'll have to jump into it. I mean, How long do we, trying to think of, if I can't, I'm a little steep deprived this week. How long do we normally have to wait for bids, but to publicly request sealed bids?
If in the end, we move money to get the ARPA, I mean, we've got a fallback position with the ARPA money. The ARPA money's not gonna go unspent. We do have enough to cover a $200,000.
If that amount does not come out of per ARPA, what we did today
What you guys have to approve yet, but.
Right.
could potentially,
The original bid was 215.
Mike, when Mike has a contract written, we may need to include kind of broadly this scanning stuff.
Okay.
So it could be,
Clayton, when you meet with Jamie, would it be good to include Mike?
What that?
Would it be good to include Mike in that discussion? Would he have more recollection of the other proposals? Do you think?
Not necessarily. I mean, they were bids, were they not? I mean, they had to have been bids, so. They
Hope so.
better have been bids. And so those should be documents that I should be able to look at. I mean, and
Yeah, we just need to
again,
look at that.
and those documents should just have numbers. I know that Shelley was concerned about, well, let me have that contractor come and explain why the number's different. That at the end of the day, that probably will not matter. Why they messed up does not matter.
Yeah.
This is a giant mess up
Right,
that did literally double their bill.
yeah.
So, yeah, there's just a lot that with what Tony said, that probably will be a very good solution is that, and it is identified in where the unspent ARPA is to be obligated because we did find that we can do that. And so if we have to push this into the first of the year to some extent, maybe we'll get it figured out, but I'll work on it as quickly as possible.
because that did say IT and construction projects in county buildings.
Yeah.
So
Well, and if it's something that, in order to get it done by the end of the year, if it would involve calling a special meeting, you know.
Well, I mean, that's
I mean, as far as a special commissioner meeting.
Right.
well, yeah, but I mean, you think about it, so if we got,
Another meeting yet?
I mean, if we got,
You're welcome. Get our money's worth out of you yet.
I mean, if we requested bids tomorrow, they're not due till Christmas, then you have to have a special meeting on either the 26th, the 27th, or the 30th, or the 31st. And by that time, you have to, you have to accept the bid and have a contract ready to sign that day, so then we can obligate it.
I feel like we would really be rushing to make something like that happen.
I mean, there's.
Something that's this, if it was, I mean, when you talk about scanning documents and a scanning service, there's a lot of, granted, there's a lot of items that go into that are not very quantitative. When you talk about the quality of the scan, the integration of the system, the usefulness of the retrieval system, there's a lot of things that are not just numbers of documents. But
This is.
this is,
This enhancement all is.
all it
if
is
you
they
look, I mean,
miscounted.
Yeah, it's like I'm trying to see here, pages, I mean, it's.
Yeah, it's-
Images, it's over
Yeah.
2 million images. I mean, a bunch of pages, it's like they missed a whole room.
So my question is, did we, in some kind of an RFP, identify the number of images that they would have to, that they would have to quote on? And if so, then I get it. When we delivered the documents, there was a lot more than what we led them to believe there would be. And there would be a change. I get that. But let's further vet the process and make sure that that we were partially responsible for their underestimation. And if we weren't, if they just miscounted boxes and they were all there to be counted, I don't feel very sorry for them.
I mean, there's, yeah.
I certainly
369,
don't feel $200,000 worth of sorry for them.
369 criminals, superior criminal and civil, 369 boxes. I mean, it's a room full of boxes.
Yeah, where did
And
they
that's not
miss-
all of,
Where did they miss that? How did they miss that?
I have no idea where it's at. It doesn't give. I mean, I think that part of the problem right now is they are everywhere. Obviously, this project's needed to alleviate that, but we have to follow the rules.
Well, by next week, would you, do you think you'll be able to make
I'll have an answer.
any sense out of it? by
Yeah,
next
I'll have
week?
an answer by the end of the week.
So,
I'm not gonna let this one. Sometimes you have to give me a week or so, but this one seems important enough. I'll definitely get it done. Yeah, I'll keep you guys updated.
Definitely a lot that was missed.
well, and it's unfortunate that it not only puts us on the spot, it forces you to be put on the spot. And, so I appreciate your urgency to help us out here.
Yep.
Okay, no further action on that particular matter. Okay. Hey, we still got our engineer and highway department.
We haven't even got off of the first agenda item, have we?
You guys gonna take a lunch?
We're gonna count on you guys to make it up for us.
Not with all those bits.
I mean, I'm gonna
Make
be
this
around
real
so that I
easy,
can
right?
tell them next
It's not like we have
week,
annual
but,
bids
I mean,
to
I
take
might
care
go
of.
by then.
I always love it when Tammy says, oh, you're gonna have a big meeting today?
Yeah.
It's like,
Well, I mean,
I don't know.
figure it out.
you never know.
Sometimes you get surprised.
You and the grants first?
That's last, actually, because Brad will come up when we start talking about those, so. But, nope, just a couple updates for you. The HSIP grant award, the meeting with NDOT last Friday went well. We do have a pretty tight schedule on that project because the funds are obligated for construction, with our bid opening being February 10th of 2027. So that's what they had on the coordination. I was thinking it was as early as 26, so that's late in their fiscal year there. So we'll see how that goes. The RFQ for consultants is due to me on January 10th. That was advertised yesterday. So at 2 o'clock on January 10th, I'm going to get proposals for consultants. We'll have to score them quickly, so probably on your meeting on the 17th, or our next meeting immediately following that in January.
Next week.
We'll be scoring that
Or you mean January 17th?
in January. So we have it on the 10th, so probably on January 13th, we'll be trying to score those pretty quickly. So we'll be working fast to try to get those in and back. We have to have that consultant under contract and our agreement with NDOT signed by in early March. So that's pretty fast, but it's very doable. So almost stay on top of that for that project. So Bridge 155, the bid opening for that is next Tuesday. So we'll have bids being delivered to the auditor's office on that project next week. Bridge 27, the geotech testing, Pickle Road will be closed next week for, right now Terracon's telling us 2 days. So the Monday and Tuesday of next week, they'll be closing the road. Pickle between 000 and 850 North. It'll be open to local traffic for homes, but through traffic will be closed. They'll be the ones managing it, so we'll be making notifications to the school and to the sheriff's office, their closure. Bridge deck cleaning quotes are due to me on Friday of this week, and I'll be presenting those to you next Tuesday. I've actually already received one of them already, so I'm kind of waiting to see if the other two turn those in. NOFA applications for 2030, Bridge 93 and 105 applications have been submitted and accepted. So that closed on Friday last week. I'm hoping to hear back about a potential interview regarding the applications, hopefully in January. So that'll be the final cut opportunity for us to get that funding in, and we won't know about any awards until mid-March. So usually just before spring break,
And once again, NOFA stands for,
Notice of Funding Availability. So it's a federal funding advertisement that the state puts through. So,
and we are looking forward to 2030.
so that's how far out we are. And now it could be any time before that, but that's the funding window that they've
they've set up. So, and then lastly, and Brad and I've got, for community crossings, we've got 2 grant application requests we presented to council earlier today. The application period opens January 2nd and closes on January 31st. We have 2 projects with a total grant request of $1.5 million. That's the maximum any agency is eligible for under community crossings. The first one is Bridge 180 replacement. That's at the intersection of County Road 650 West and 825 South. With your approval, we complete the application requesting CCMG funds. Total estimated project cost is around $969,204, with the local match being $242,301. And then also for,
That was just for the bridge
that's
project.
just for the bridge.
And then for the,
Yep, there you go.
on the, we went to Wedgeon level, 300 north, from 27 all the way to the Wells County line. And the estimated cost there is $1,486,839.19. So there again, Nate uses, it's his 25%, where then ours would be like, it comes out to about 48% that we'll match at the 713, 742.56.
It's just the way we've got, the only way to maximize the grant funds is to really over-program. If to get it exactly perfect, you have to have bids at $2 million for projects. The way we've worked it out, if you look at the grant forms, I'm asking for about $726,000 in grant funds on my project. Brad's asking for $773,000 for his project. I'm doing the air quotes here for y'all, but we're essentially splitting the grant 50-50 between the two, even though our project amounts overall are different. And it didn't make sense for 300 North to stop short of 7 West. You could maybe go to 5 West and get exactly the dollar amounts, then come back later on. It just didn't make sense practically for the people that use and live on that road. So.
And we have the funds to do it, so.
Well, 300 north, you can bounce all the way to the county line and then some, so.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you better store your eggs securely when you're driving that road.
it'll be nice to have somebody bounce in from Wells County and say, oh, it's good to be in Adams
The
County.
Adams County line would be proud of that.
Brad, is 300 North one of those roads that we've identified as a primary county road?
Yes, it is.
It's on that plan.
Yep.
I still would like to see that plan that identifies which roads
Oh, yeah,
are the primary crossing roads.
yeah.
And again, in my mind, those are roads that need to have priority for this kind of, what I consider to be rebuilding.
Yeah, because this is one of them, that continues over to Wells County.
Right, gotcha.
And I can't remember, it goes into some place where everybody goes. And
It's
Lancaster.
yeah, it goes into Lancaster. So you know what? That's a straight shot across there, and you skip Bluffton and you skip Decatur. So yes, it
I
is.
just like to see that plan of which roads are identified could be primary roads
Yeah,
of travel throughout our county.
what we would consider
Yeah,
primary.
yeah,
Yeah,
what
not
we-
so much the feds, but
Yeah.
yep. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think it's on your functional classification map to the feds for federal funding, but this is
No,
perfect use for.
but
Yeah, we know which roads.
obviously, in my mind, when I think about community crossing money, I like that to be used to create a community crossing grid across our county that says, no, that is not a road, but if you go 1 mile north, that's a road that we're going to really make as a thoroughfare through our county.
Just not to keep going, but like the 500 West we did last year.
Absolutely.
124 to 218.
Yeah.
And in no stops.
I agree. Yeah, we just need to make sure that in the big vision, that here's the vision for transportation in our county, that these 10 roads are the roads that we're really going to have to be in excellent condition because of that exact type of logic. We're going to run with no stop signs. We're going to get quickly from here to here. It takes you to there where we have a lot of traffic that goes to, all those kind of logic, as opposed to trying to improve every road in Adams County equally. I think we want to create that network that says they're all equal, but these are more equal than others, and here's the reason.
with you. So, yep, with your approval, we've got both the county grant application forms, the internal documents we have, and then as well, Stan, I gave you letters of financial commitment. Those are the cover letters that NDOT prefers to see in a format obligating funds. They mirror each other. I've ended up just scanning and sending all of that out to the state when we do submit our application. So,
Okay, like each of these has two signature spots. One is president of Adams County Commissioners and the other one is all three commissioners. So I assume we have to sign both pages.
The one is not a grant, is it?
the one,
Is the other one the RF?
I think one is a letter. So you should have,
Yeah, that should actually be stapled together. Or not stapled, but here's the grant.
there should be one
And
document.
this one,
Those,
This
if
is,
all
this is
three
the
want to
grant.
sign that, that's fine too. It's like,
so you're gonna have.
the letter has a place for all three.
Yeah, this, you're gonna have two copies of letters that'll look like, just like this, that all three will need to sign, and then Tony can attest to that. So that's a separate letter that NDOT likes to see the breakdown of projects as well. Because the language that's used on the internal documents is not exactly what the state likes to see. So this helps clarify the overall system request.
Well, and I agree with Steve too, as far as, community crossings, that's, something that would nice to see, repair and rebuild rather than just chip and seal, maintenance.
No, there's having the priority list, and I know we've worked on that together as far as kind of seeing where can you leverage community crossing? Get
Right.
Good projects
Right.
done, so, having Commissioner input is critical to laying out that vision for the future.
That way I can tell you which roads I think are more equal.
Well, sometimes, we get along well with all you guys, but there's times we might not totally pull it through.
But I think there is a plan. I know you've
Yeah.
alluded to the fact
Yeah.
that there is
Yeah.
there is a transportation plan that says these are the roads that are priority roads for us. I just like to see that, that's all.
Yeah.
And
So when you bring a project like this, I like, yes, that's on that plan. That's the reason we're doing this versus just a chip and seal.
And we have documents, we did cost estimates on probably half a dozen different road sections to kind of see which ones would fall and what made the best.
We took the ones that would work money-wise with us, money-wise with him to try and get to that
Yeah.
community crossings threshold.
And that's where it fell. It was a judgment call saying that 300 North was the best fit. It was one straightforward project along with Bridge 180. And then we're going to do the same next year. I've got a bridge I've got planning for 2026 applications. And then we'll put together a group of roads that go along with that. So, yep.
That way I can get over the lows faster.
Absolutely. So, and then with that, I guess
Ready to go in our annual bids?
I'll turn it over to Brent for the
we need to
annual
make a
bid.
motion.
We need to take action on this.
I'm sorry, on the community crossings.
You want to take them both together?
I'll make a motion to approve both.
Second, both of these have to be signed for.
Just go ahead and sign them since they have it that way, yeah.
All right.
Brad, you'll have an annual bid sheet at some, like next week.
Yeah, next
Sign
week.
that.
Yeah.
Right, just the top.
No, just stand on that one. All of you on that one.
There we go, get in a hurry.
It's all right. We told you to hustle it up, so just keep pushing.
Right.
We don't want to miss lunch, do we?
You know what, we could.
All right.
Ready?
We good?
Yeah, they do that.
So annual bids, and this is just kind of a refresher, annual bids, we do this yearly. We get all the different prices from a lot of different vendors. It doesn't mean we specifically take one. This is just by each of them turning something in means we can go like each stone quarry. We're not locked in at one because, we're not going from up north down there. I just want to refresh everybody that That's the way these are.
So these are the prices you would pay though throughout the year for this
Correct.
materials?
Yeah, it locks in the price in stone. And I wanted to also, just so we're all clear too, like the fuel companies that supply fuel, those there, we invite them to bid, but we still bid it every time we order fuel. By them doing this, just gives us permission to go to them every time.
Okay.
So I want to clarify that.
And so, and on that annual bid list, I've added a couple line items for steel and concrete pipe. So I got one bid here from Metal Culverts Inc. out of Jefferson City, Missouri. And they've supplied pricing on their steel pipe and polymerized steel pipe, and I'll just, yeah. So there's a full table of the different pricings for that they've submitted. So, and it's signed by the manager of sales products. So what I'll do is I'll just pull, for example, they gave a price on 36-inch through 96-inch diameter galvanized and polymerized pipe, round and elliptical, and various sizes. So for example, a 36-inch diameter galvanized at 10 gauge would be $105.85 per lineal foot. So that allows me then to pick if I'm replacing pipe, I can find the footage of the pipe, go down to the table, find the gauge, whether it's 10, 12, 14, or 16 gauge. I've got pricing per foot for each of those. So I've got 200 numbers on this page, so what I want to do is
Just go ahead and read
just
it.
just go through it. This one's Metal Culverts. Metal Culverts. So we got their price on that one there. St. Regis, Culvert Inc., out of Indianapolis, Indiana.
Culvert Inc.
Yeah. He's got, see if he used the same form. Yes, they did fill out the same form here. I'll use the same example, 36-inch diameter galvanized. No bid on the 10 gauge, but they did provide a 12 gauge at $76.80. So that's just kind of an example. And they went through and just kind of struck out different gauges of different sizes, whether it's bid or no bid. And then there's additional fittings and flare ends that are included with their bid. So St. Regis submitted on their steel pipe submission.
So like you said, by virtue of them submitting a bid, that qualifies them to be a vendor as we go through the year.
Yeah.
So we really are not comparing prices, so to speak.
We're not right now comparing the prices, but if, for example, what I would do with this is I would use this for budgeting purposes and an emergency. So let's say we had a flood and we lost a pipe, or the road was closed and I needed a price tomorrow, or if I wanted to have a pipe delivered on Monday, I could call them on Saturday, get a sales rep and say, hey, you're locked in for this price. I could buy anything on here. It allows us to bypass, because we don't have to worry about the quoting and bidding timeframes. So in the event of emergency, we're able to get any of these products at this locked in price because we've accepted these in general. So from a continuity of operations and emergency, you're both covered, you've publicly bidded, you're not just giving money to somebody in a bind. And then the last of the steel pipe and precast is from Civilcon Inc.
How you spell that? Silicon, okay.
Yep.
INK.
And they're out of Jeffersonville, Indiana. And they've just supplied me with their full table of products because they rep a number of different vendors here. So all of their prices are on attached pages. So I would have to go through here and find a similar page. They did not fill out the table that we have, but all of these are their prices from everything from bands, shells, steel pipe. Oh. Yeah, let's go for 14 gauge, 36-inch galvanized. They've got it at $91.26. And they've got everything from 16 gauge through 10, both elliptical and polymerized.
So like in that example, their 14 gauge is more expensive than than St. Regis 12 gauge.
Yeah, and it just comes down to the thickness, the amount of pounds of steel that you're getting per foot. So, and that varies depending on that. And when time allows, you end up you end up getting quotes on individual locations because they have to build in estimated inflation in these. These aren't always the best prices for the year. When I can quote it, you would do that. But like I said, in a bind or an emergency, you can get the number, you can rely on it, they're held. So, all right.
All right, the first one I have.
This isn't redundant with any of the pipe that Mike would use in the surveyor's office, probably. I asked that
Some
because he said that.
circumstances, in some circumstances, they could be, Civilcon might rep that. Most of these steel pipes he doesn't use on legal tiles, so.
About illegal tiles.
All right, the first one I have is for stone from Rock Creek Stone Quarry, which is over in Wells County. And I'm just going to give you what we use the most of, number 73 commercial. There's $7.60 a ton. Now, one thing to go with that one, that's over an hour round trip. Far enough.
And we haul all of our own stones. Or do we?
All right, the next one I have, U.S. Aggregates, which is located at Lynn Grove and out of Pleasant Mills. And their number 73 stone is $11.75. IMI, which they're based out of Huntington, but they have a quarry over in Bluffton. Also again, stone. Yes.
Are they as far as that other Bluffton quarry or close?
No, this is actually right at the edge of Bluffton, just south of Walmart there.
Oh.
See attached price sheet.
That's very much.
Okay, number 73's commercial, $13.55 a ton.
Might be worth the drive. They'll get more expensive.
Well, yeah. We'll talk again sometime, or we'll walk behind that. All right, the next one I have is from Stone Street Quarries, and they are located up at Hoagland area. Where's that? Poe, the Hoagland.
Stone Street.
You can't miss it. All the trucks coming out of there every day.
Yeah.
All right, their 73 price commercial, $13.75. All right, now the next one I have is actually from National Oil and Gas in Bluffton, Indiana. And there again, this is one of the, I mean, we've got all their official paperwork. It's, you know, this is the price as of the day they did this. I don't feel that I really need, unless you guys want me to read your price off, it's not really. All right, the next one is from Keystone. So they have also included their pricing, the correct paperwork.
Where did from?
They're the ones that are actually located in Monroe. I am not sure, just south of Monroe there. I'm not sure where their base is at.
There was a guy in here with a Keystone jacket on.
Yeah, he's actually the one that turned that in.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, the next one is Petroleum Traders Corporation. They are out of Fort Wayne. And they are also bidding on the gas and diesel. So, yep, they got all their paperwork. All right, the next one I have is from Brooks Construction. Wayne. And, yep, their winter mix. Winter mix is loaded on our truck if we go get it, $98 a ton.
This is asphalt.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then there again, this is one of them where if we have small jobs,
Right.
this allows us to use them. We're going to bid the bigger paving jobs, so.
So if we're ever buying cold patch or that winter mix, then we could buy it in bulk.
Or if you have a little patch area to do.
Yeah.
All right, the next thing I have is from Pavement Solutions out of Middletown, Indiana, and they're the ones that do our crack sealing, micro surface slurry. So, and the thing here that we would use the most is the crack seal. And their price for the crack seal is 80 cents a square yard. All right, one more. We're getting it. This is from Great Lakes Chloride. They are the ones that supply us with our boost that is added to the salt in winter, so it works down to a lower temperature. And their price for the calcium chloride boost is $1.43 per gallon.
Where's it from?
Warsaw.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it. That's all I have.
Trying to be.
What was that used for, that calcium?
It's calcium chloride that we put on the salt. Salt will work down to 20-some degrees temperature, but when you add this product onto it, it takes it down, and they say it works, I don't know, below 20.
Get you down to the single.
It gets you down to single digits, but
Yeah, because salt,
Yeah.
you really aren't going to get any real effect on the salt once you get down to around 12 to 15 degrees.
yeah,
So anything below 20, salt becomes difficult to get it to work.
it adds traction but doesn't melt.
You ever looked into beet juice?
Yes, there are, we've seen presentations on beet juice and that kind of stuff. Haven't looked in it real in depth because we still have quite a bit of this on hand because we haven't had to use it much the last couple of years.
Beet juice doesn't eat your bridges up where the salt does, the
Got it.
calcium. And it doesn't, beet juice doesn't freeze. And all of Mercer and Van Wert County have switched to using that on their
Okay.
bridges. And
Okay.
it's amazing. That's just something
Yeah.
for down the road, keep in
So they
mind.
mix that in with the salt, correct? Or is that a straight?
That's a straight, it's a straight.
Okay.
beet
So
It's
there's
a,
something
it's a
added
liquid
to it.
apply.
Spray that
Yes,
on.
it's-
or, yeah.
You're not eating your bridges up and it's not eating the vehicles and it doesn't, beet juice does not freeze.
Okay.
And you put it on just something for down the
No,
road.
that's good information.
That's just something down the road you might want to check into.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a pre-treatment, and there's a number of pre-treatment
Yes.
solutions out there that are done. There would be equipment costs for us to try to one store and to use that, but it's something,
Yeah.
they've been talking about that. I think Decatur does some pre-treatment that's kind of similar to that.
I can't remember. Do we need to, I mean, we'll go back and go through this stuff, but I can't remember. Since we basically accept all these, do we really need to wait till next week to accept them?
So do we do fuel bids on a whole separate round of?
Anytime we need it.
They'll do quotes for the,
Okay.
Yeah,
to fill it.
Gotcha.
So when it's time to fill, they'll just get a specific quote from that.
We reach out to
standpoint.
all three of the ones that turned in this.
And this doesn't
and then-
include your mills or your dust control.
No, that is just strictly the diesel fuel, on-road, off-road gas.
And anything from co-op? Or do we-
That would have been
That's
Keystone, right?
Keystone.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, they changed names the fifth time or
Yeah.
whatever now.
That's it, sorry.
It was Co-Alliance and then whatever, and now it's
Okay.
Keystone.
Got it.
Yep. All right. That's all I got. Anything else? Okay, thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So-
Go back and find the minutes, but not approved.
We'll have this table here.
They won't approve the art about it and say that was December of 23. I'll start looking.
All right, Ed, what do you have for us today?
Good morning. Thank you.
Good morning.
Well, it rains and pours, and I have quite a few things, so let's get at it. The November report was distributed to you by Tony. Everything balances.
Well, that's a good proof number.
Any questions? I'm here to answer those. Make motion to accept. Second.
Okay, motion carried.
Okay, I want to let you know that the reconciliations that we talked about for the end of the tax season, they're still going on between the auditor's office and my office, and that's all going well. We're getting closer every day. Yesterday, we had banking representatives in from our primary bank to go over proper permissions on ACH transactions and wire transfers. And with people moving around a little bit, we had to change some of that stuff. And Tony and I and our staffs were all part of that meeting, and we got that all dialed in well. So I just want to let you know on that. Gave you updated information on the interest earned in 2024 so far, and I gave that to you last week. Of course, I don't have December done yet. I will have December's about the second week of January, and it's been good. The rates have gone down a little bit, and so that has made me take my estimated year-end total down a little bit, but it's going to be a record. We actually set that record last month, excuse me. And so 2 years in a row, record interest, and I'm very proud of that. The Board of Finance meeting that we talked about last week, we had settled on the 14th of January, but that is going to be the first meeting for council. And we got to thinking about it. Tony actually was the one that drew it to my attention that you may prefer to be at the council meeting, and we really can't fit council meeting, my meeting, and your meeting all, boom, boom, boom. So we could, if you want to be at the council meeting, we need to move the Board of Finance meeting date.
What if we set that Board of Finance meeting for 8 a.m. that day? Can we do it in a half hour?
We can, just get going, yeah.
I don't know. Really didn't make me any difference. I know we struggled finding another date that
In
worked.
previous years, we've taken the entire hour.
Yeah, you dog.
Hey, Shannon.
In previous years, we've taken the entire hour, but the treasurer does talk too much. So
I've heard that.
Do you anticipate a wage review meeting in January? Okay. So you want to do that at what time?
7:45.
I'm a morning person. I can do it at 5:45. Doesn't matter to me. We just don't want to, we don't want to cause the paid staff to come in and have to pay you guys overtime.
So the 14th at 8 a.m.?
That works for me.
Yeah.
I'll make sure you guys have everything prior to, and we'll get it as quick as we can, okay?
Deal.
I'd spoken with you on the Golden Meadows property, and I've had some taxpayers come in and just ask me about that. And I know that's not a done deal yet, and it's all still in the works, but I do want to let you know that people are talking about it, asking me questions in the treasurer's office. So, just every step and do it right, and I know you will. So, but there are people talking. So, I know before you're done here today, you're going to talk more about Rexmoor, and I just want to let you know that a dear friend and a friend of my office, and he was, of course, 2 years as treasurer, and we're sure going to miss him. Sure
2 terms. Right?
I'm sorry?
2 terms?
2 terms as the treasurer, yes.
You said 2 years, that's why.
Oh, 2 terms, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
2 terms. And he was before Tom Kruckerberg and then myself. And then I said this on the record at the council meeting prior to this, but I do want to put it on the record here. And I want to commend Tony Mellencamp and Brianna Rash for their exceptional work with keeping all the ARPA funds straight. It's an incredible amount of stuff that they've had to do. It's nobody's fault that you guys would do something, then council would do something different, or council would start it, and then it would come here and you would make a change and go back there, add something, contracts change. Somebody needed to keep track of all of that. And Tony and Brianna, I heard about it all the time. And of course, they're right next door, and we talk, and they did a wonderful job. And then I hear from the State Board of Account when the annual audits come in.
That federal audit.
And yes, and
Really
Tony was the
complimentary of
signatory
that.
on that. And I can attest that Adams County's in very good shape. Not all counties in the state are. In fact, some of the counties I know they're scrambling because they are in a mess right now. Some of these counties will not have stuff obligated, and they will have to pay that money back to the federal government. And nobody's going to want to do that. I'm happy that everybody, you and the council, has everything spent. So,
Well, not only did we document it well, and Tony and Bree did a great job of doing that, but I think, I'm proud of the way that money was spent.
yes.
I think it was spent wisely. It was money that kind of fell in our lap. It was taxpayer dollars. I think we respected it as taxpayer dollars, and we spent the money wisely, and it was invested and will bring benefit to the residents of Adams County for years to come.
Yep, yep. And used it as intended. So that's perfect. But thank you, Tony and Brianna, especially for keeping it all straight. And then the final thing, the final council meeting of the year, and Kathy Mitchell gave me her key fob to return, and I'm not really sure. Do I return it to you guys? Do I return it to Tony? Do I
Probably to
return it
Rick.
to Shannon?
Rick or Bob.
Rick or Bob?
I'll take it. I have.
Okay. Okay. I just wanted to make sure that it's on the record and out of my possession officially. No, it's gonna have to go through.
It'll go through the proper
Right,
channel.
yeah, because it's
We'll
going
see
out
Kathy
of,
Mitchell coming in and out of the building for the next 4 years.
out of my hands officially.
Hopefully a lot more than
4 years.
That's all I have unless you have any questions.
Thank you, Ed. I think you've done a great job too, as far as managing our money and trying to find the best return on the money that we're responsible for. So,
Thank you.
and I think your office has done a good job of being efficient this year without bringing part-time help in. And so commend yourself, and commend the girls up there that really worked hard and did a good job, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we sent settlement in today,
Did you?
so hopefully that stays there.
Thank you, gentlemen, very much. And there we go, official.
Okay,
My turn.
your turn. What you got?
And Tony, you'll probably have to remind me of the specifics. You all heard me present to the council a resolution for additional ARPA funds of $12,533.33 for the Geneva IT project. I just need a motion for you guys also to approve that, and sign that.
That's resolution 2024-22.
Make motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion carries.
The second was, you guys also heard me present, I assume this is resolution 2024-23.
Yes.
It was a resolution to obligate unused ARPA funds that was approved by council. I need you guys to also approve that. And obviously, if you have any questions.
Motion approved.
I'm going to second that, but I do have a question. Wonder if we don't get this 206 dissolved, what will that, how will we?
That project would cover that, I think. If
That
the
project-
intention is for that to be an
I think-
overlapping.
At worst, we'll make sure that the contract who's working on that now, Mike?
Mike and or Rick.
Mike and Rick are trying to put together now, and I'm sure that will come to our office to kind of finalize, but it would be some type of a contract to obligate by contract the funds, and I would make sure that we could keep the scanning project within the scope of that.
Okay.
So was that seconded? Okay.
Motion carries.
The legal services contract, you guys heard me present for Miller, Bernie, Brown. Again, that's just an SBA request that the legal services that were ever paid out of ARPA needed to have a specific cap on them. It's already appropriated money. It's just a contract for that money.
And that would be, we'll take action on because they need to sign.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, yep, so they motioned and seconded that.
Oh, okay, good.
And then the last one was, we just need also your approval, similar to councils for the Council on Aging's project funding request in the manner that they chose. What did they choose again, Tony? They choose
They had
to,
a donation fund and then the rest
Special donation.
would be made up out of county jail.
and so I just need a motion for your guys' approval on that as well.
So move.
Second.
Motion carries.
Did we do the flagpole?
The flagpole one,
Catch 24.
yeah, I guess again, you guys heard the resolution regarding the flagpole. So we'll just, I don't think that one's necessary, but just for
Just to
propriety's sake, I would request a motion for approval of that as well.
So move.
Second.
All right. Motion carries to approve the remote control flag. Or the mechanical.
Yeah. Sounds pretty cool. That is all, unless you guys have any specific questions for me right now, it's all I have
Anything
for
else
today.
Well, thanks for sitting in for council and for sitting in for us. Well, Mark Scott, I
Appreciate your, like Clayton's had a little one's been under the weather. I know he's been struggling with that too. So, you're,
She's been sick for over a week.
appreciate you being here.
Luckily on the upswing now after being in the hospital this weekend, so
Oh, man.
rough weekend, but doing good now.
Yeah.
emotionally drain you too.
Yep, definitely.
All right. Shannon, what do you have for us?
A couple things.
Move we adjourn.
Said that really quiet.
So every year, I'm sure you guys are well aware that we go through our benefits package, and we have a renewal process that we go through. So two of the things that we have to approve every year as part of that renewal process are our COBRA rates, which are something that is calculated by USI based on our maximum expected funding for the upcoming plan year. So how we do those is we take that recommendation from USI and then we subtract out the employee premium. And then that total is what the COBRA rate turns into for the following plan year, which will then get submitted to Allied. And if an employee elects to go on COBRA for whatever reason, then this is the rate that we've calculated that they should pay, being both their portion and the employer portion, which is what COBRA is. So I just have the updated 2025 rates for you guys. As always, Jody gave me 3 different options for COBRA rates. She gave me maximum funding plus lasers, expected funding plus lasers, and expected funding without lasers. The most accurate one and the one that she recommends and that I recommend is the expected funding plus laser liability. So that's what these numbers are based on.
Well, I think we definitely need to keep the lasers in there. So, and I didn't know between the maximum and the expected what.
We've historically done the expected. Last year we did the expected.
We did, yes. Yeah, it's not recommended to do maximum because we have not met maximum claims in quite a few years. So if we were to charge
That
an
would
employee
kind
a
of be
COBRA rate,
overcharging.
right, exactly.
Can you re-say the one that you're recommending?
Expected funding plus laser liability.
I make a motion to accept that recommendation.
Second.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Okay, and then the other 2 things that I sent you guys just this morning, I got them yesterday. So every year, if we have any plan changes, at minimum, we update the year in our summary plan descriptions for all of our networks. But this year, we did update the copay. There was a small change to the copays, which we've talked about and you guys agreed to. So I reviewed both of those SPDs yesterday, and the only change that was in it was the plan year and then the copay piece. So as long as you guys are okay with that, then I need one of you stand to sign these plan endorsements for both of the employees on the plan. And then I'll get these submitted to Allied and they can get them on the portal for employees to access if they need them. Any questions on the SPDs? Are you good with what I sent you?
You need a motion. I'll make a motion.
Second.
And, oh, Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, anything from you guys as far as committees, reports, last will and testament?
No, but this will be my last meeting unless we call a special meeting. This will be my last meeting with Steve. I just want to say publicly what a joy it's been to get to know him. I didn't know him at all before we started working together. And he's taught me a lot about how to do this job. And fortunately, there's a divider here between us, so he couldn't kick me when I was messing up. But he could, he was good about letting me know, kind of the ropes. And I just want to say that I appreciate getting to know him, and hopefully I won't lose contact.
Thank you, Steve.
Very good, thank you.
Oh, I feel the same. I didn't know Steve Bailey until he became commissioner. I feel like we've got along great. We've had some good conversations and we've become friends.
Yep, made a good team. I appreciate it.
Very good. All right. Nothing else as far as activities. I attended the Indiana County Commissioners Conference this week, and they had some good sessions, and I think there was one session on how to develop a project that we're looking at that I think is just going to be very beneficial for us, and so I was glad for the opportunity to sit through a lot of the trainings and kind of talk to a lot of the other commissioners. So I was glad for that opportunity. So, and then also Friday, there is a State Mental Health Association conference down in Indy, so I'm going to be attending that. So, hopefully that'll coincide with our interaction with the community mental health centers and kind of hopefully continue to have a good relationship there. So our county residents get a good benefit from the levy that's been imposed to support the CMHC. So
I appreciate you attending that conference, Stan. I know it takes time out of your week and travel to Indianapolis and again on Friday, and the leadership that you provide this unit, I appreciate. And just as we get here at the end of the year, I wanted to say thank you.
Yep. You're welcome. So, also, we're continuing to explore options with Golden Meadows, and so that's going to be an ongoing pursuit. We currently have given permission for the sheriff to apply for a special use permit for Golden Meadows property for a training facility. And so we're continuing to pursue that option through the Board of Zoning Appeals. And, he had an open meeting the other night. And one thing I promised there was we would continue to look at all options for that property. But that's the one that we're pursuing right now. So there's nothing done deal. There's nothing that's being done under the table. It's being done in public meetings. And so we would welcome everyone to, as the sheriff does also. So. All right. Anything else from the general public?
I just wondered if that divider between those two is between the cheese tank and the tomato picker.
He's too far north. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. We have had an interesting guest sitting with us today, so I don't know if you'd like to introduce yourself. You don't have to, but so.
My name is David Smocky. I just wanted to sit in and see what you guys are doing. It's a pretty interesting day.
Well, if you figure out what we're doing, you let me know, okay?
I'm figuring out records.
It's not always this exciting, I'm telling you.
I came on a good day.
Yeah. Well, the one thing that I think a lot of people don't understand about county government, it's a little different than the city. Whereas the city has a mayor and sits in with the council at every meeting. We basically have the two bodies. So for us to sit in with the commissioners on the legislative and executive side, and to be able to sit in with the council who are strictly on the fiscal side, I mean, we always have to work together and go in the same direction, but we're driving in different lanes. So that's the interesting thing about county government, I think, is working together, but staying in our lanes. So I think we've had pretty good success with those boards working together. You know, and obviously managing 27 different departments in our county government, and some departments have elected department heads, some departments have appointed department heads. And so it's just an interesting conflagration of everybody working together for the benefit of Adams County residents. So I appreciate you coming in and being involved.
Seems like you guys are doing a good job, so.
Well, we do our best. So,
But you're lying here. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
okay. Okay, meeting adjourned.